Ladies, gentlemen, and they, thems, good evening and welcome to the Private Property Podcast, brought to you proudly by privateproperty.co.za, because at Private Property, we like to connect you to the heart of property. We are bringing this episode to you live from the property show happening at the Sandton Convention Centre in Johannesburg, South Africa. And it is a very special day. We've been telling you throughout the month that all roads lead to the property show, and this is it. It's happening. We're here. It's the one. So in case you couldn't make it, we are going to make sure that you get all of the information that you would have received had you been here in person. Right now, we are speaking to the Business Development Executive at Private Property, Carl Van Den Berg. Thank you so much for joining me.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for having me. It's an absolute privilege to be here. After many months of work around the property show, we're finally here, finally in real life. And today's the day.
How do you feel about today?
Nervous, I suppose. We've had 2 years of not being able to do any big, large events. The last one we did was October 2019, which was a huge success. So I suppose we had a little bit of rust in the system, but everything seems to be going incredibly well. We've got a great team behind us. Crowds are flowing in, so it's great.
Carl, tell me about the Private Property Portal. I'm living under a rock. I don't know that it exists. I'm on the market to buy a property. What can this portal do for me?
Yeah, so I suppose firstly we're a little bit more than just a portal. So I suppose what a portal is really where you're getting a bunch of consumers that are looking for information, whether it's to buy or to rent or whatever it might be. And on the other side, you've got the businesses, so the real estate brands, the banks, and the rest of that. And we essentially, as a portal, connect these two sets of people. But as Private Property, we're far more than just a portal. We're doing events like this, which is really sort of a physical representation of what you would see online. We've got our daily podcast, which you know well. Over 1 million followers on our socials. So, it's a lot more than just a portal. I suppose the cornerstone of what we've become is a trusted source of information. And we are really happy about that, and we're growing steadily around how do we educate people, how do we inspire people, and how do we get more people into homes.
Okay, so obviously you are a trusted source of information, especially now everything to do with property and the tools that you guys have on, the Private Property website. Having now established yourselves as the big dogs in the game, what would you say your key insights and key learnings have been over the past couple of years?
Yeah, so, Private Property is actually a 23-year-old business, so we're hardly, a startup anymore. We've got some good track record. I suppose the biggest learning that we've had is this industry changes and consumers change. So if you were looking to buy a property 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, you would have gone and bought a newspaper or a magazine and had a physical sort of look.
Classifieds,
exactly
Saturday Argus.
Right. And people would do it. They would wait for that next edition, and that would be part of their Sunday over a cup of coffee and a croissant. And obviously now consumers have changed. So it's very much around digital. It's very much around how do they consume information? How do things get to them as easy and quickly as possible? And we've now seen the next phase of things where consumers are actively more on social media than they are on anything else. So how do we position ourselves on socials, which we clearly do? So that's probably been the biggest journey. And the question is what's next? So we look clearly at what's happening in America and Europe, but we're South Africa, right? We do things differently.
Absolutely.
And we'll chart our own path.
I'm glad you brought up the what's next question, because that's what I was going to ask you. Where do you see you guys moving in the next sort of 5 years or so?
So very much around, we are a digital business, so making sure that we have easy access to the information. So, things like user journeys. The way that you would search for information on a website a year ago is very different to how you're going to do it now. So really just making sure we understand what consumers are doing and understand what it is that they're doing on our portal, and then subtly changing things so that the consumer experience is better. People can find the information, they can gather information. It's not just about, if you're moving from Joburg to Durban as an example, and you don't really know Durban, we need to be that trusted source of information to go, if you're wanting to live in Glenwood, this is what Glenwood looks like. This is the average prices. Here's the schools down the road or hospitals or whatnot, what it might be. These are the neighbors or the neighboring suburbs. So really around making sure that we've got that ability to be able to play back the information that we have. We've got so much information. Our clients, our trusted clients that we have so much information. It's about how it is that we give that information to our consumers.
I love that you brought that up, because if we go back to the times of the classifieds and the Sunday morning papers, there are a lot of people who are part of that generation who still want to be part of this, forward-moving property journey, but maybe they consider themselves technophobes, or they don't know. My mom can't WhatsApp still, so. But I mean, we shouldn't count those people out. What would you say to them to sort of encourage them that this is a user-friendly portal? This is made just for you, and it's not as hard as you think it is.
Yeah, I suppose there's always that bit of technophobe, and I look at myself. My kids have had to show me how TikTok works, right? So it's not just a generational thing. I'm hardly that old that I don't know how it works, but things are moving rapidly. So I suppose it's very much around just dive in, right? So go onto Private Property's website and feel what it's like, experience what it's like. It's very simple to navigate, and the beauty is all of the information that you need is there in one place, right? It's not an easy thing to buy property. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of legal things. There's so many pitfalls, and the best place is to go into private property and everything that you need to know about whether you're wanting to rent, own, become an investor, whatever it might be. It's all there, and we pride ourselves about having a lifelong journey with our consumers. When you're moving out or moving into a digs in varsity, we're there for you. You upscaling because you've gotten married and you've had kids, or you're empty nesting because your kids have all left, or you're wanting to buy a place down at the beach to retire. We're there and we're part of that journey. And private property is really, if you're wanting to know anything about property, come to the show or join us online.
So speaking of the show, this is a very special and important weekend, especially for privateproperty.co.za. If someone maybe is thinking, this is a missed opportunity for me, maybe as a property practitioner or on the legal side, what would you say to encourage them to sort of get on board? I mean, obviously now it's too late. It's already happening, but there will be more property shows.
So be branching this out through to Durban and Cape Town.
Amazing.
So people that aren't based in Joburg will be in those two provinces, I think early next year. So it's there, but again, the show is a physical representation of what it is that we've got online. Jump onto our Facebook page, jump onto our portal, and engage with us.
Carl, thank you so much for coming through. I know you're a very busy man and you've got lots to do today. So thank you so much for coming on our podcast and just giving us those insights. And we'll see you later.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Sure. That's all we've got for you for this episode. Tune into the next episode of the Private Property Podcast with myself, Sibs Matiela, bringing you all of the information you need live and direct from the property show happening at the Sandton Convention Centre right here in Johannesburg, South Africa. I'll see you tomorrow.